Frank, how's PJ's back? Do you have an update for tomorrow night?
He's past pain. He's more in soreness. You know, anytime your muscles spasm, it's just one big knot. And, you know, the pain of those knots are gone. But now when, your muscles doing that for a long time, it gets real sore. So he can move. We're going to try and do some stuff today and see how he reacts. And, but he's been just nonstop treatment here for the last 48 hours. So, the goal is to get him on the court tomorrow night.
Questions, guys?
Frank, just looking at the way a lot of the games have gone, not just here but across the league, a lot of fouls have been called. Just how tough is it to try to run offense and run defense when so many fouls are being called per game?
We need to stop fouling. It's just simple as that. I mean, the officials are there to call fouls. If we foul, they need to call them. It's made all these, I'm a big believer that rules should be made to help, not to hurt. And what's happening because of all these so-called, for lack of better words, hand checks and little bumps and all this, that referees were allowed to kind of manage based on what we call advantage and disadvantage. And I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I shouldn't. But I'm just, because I'm not criticizing. I'm just, there's such an emphasis on that now that what's happening is the guy on offense is being told, just put your head down and go to the rim. That's not basketball, And well, how do you defend that? How do you defend the guy that just puts his head down and goes to the rim every single play? It's hard to defend. And, the only way I know how to defend that is stick your body in the way. Well, our help side defense at Kentucky wasn't very good. Our rotations off the ball were not very good, and so then we fouled. And, conversely, Kentucky's guys tried to step in there and take charges. And that's a credit to them. That's why they won the game. It's I don't know. It's the guy with the balls also, the officials are paying such attention to all that incidental contact on the perimeter because they're doing what they're being asked to do, that the guy with the ball is carrying the ball, is traveling. And I don't know about you, but if I'm paying attention to the defense, it's hard to see if the guy on offense is traveling or carrying the ball. It's, and it's making it hard for the officials. They're doing a great job. I can't speak for other teams. We got to stop fouling.
Frankson was in here earlier talking about how he felt maybe the mentality on this team was a little bit tougher, a little bit stronger. So just a loss might not affect it going forward. These couple of days of practice and being back here, have you seen evidence of that these guys have kind of flushed what happened and are ready to just pick up where they left off?
Yeah, I mean, you saw it a couple of weeks ago. We lost at Memphis, didn't play well. Came back and beat Georgia at Georgia, who, by the way, no one gives us credit for. They're a top 40 team in the country, and it's, that's, this team is, it's galvanized itself. It's there's a mentality in place with these kids that's fun. The young guys are still trying to figure it out, but they've done a great job of following the leadership of the team. And the reason that they follow it is that the leadership of the team have helped them so much off the court before the season started, that now that you're in the meat and potatoes of it, they're listening to, they're listening to Sin and Justin and Dwayne and, Chris and PJ's been real good with that too. Chris is still trying to figure some stuff out, but they're listening to those guys, and that's huge.
Frank, along those lines, how are the young guys handling just the rigors of college basketball, the mental and physical fatigue that comes from traveling, playing, classwork?
Not bad. They're handling it better than my first couple of years here, for the reason being that they've got upperclassmen that are preparing them every day for how things happen. So they can be a little bit more emotionally balanced. Winning games helps with that. If you're losing games, it can create bigger negative vibes in the minds of young kids. But the most important thing is that we've got guys that have been through it, so they don't get too high after a win or too low after a loss. They understand that it's a long season, and they come at it again the next day. And I think those young guys, from being around those guys, it helps them a lot on how to manage, how to prepare. But like I told them yesterday, I'll use this as an example. The NCAA continues to try and find legislation to cut back on how many hours we can do things. So you got to do less. You got to do less. They ask us to perform greater, but we have to do it with less preparation. And that's the mindset out there right now, that we overwork these guys. I don't know of any profession or any student who's pursuing a certain profession that only works 20 hours a week at that trade. I don't know of anyone that does that. Well, right now we're limited to 20. And that's including film, team meetings, everything that takes place. So like I told all the young guys yesterday, I said, how many shots, I picked on one of them, I said, how many shots you think you took in practice today? I said, I don't know. I said, take a guess. He said, 10, 12. I said, okay. Day before, we had a game. How many shots you shoot there? And he said a number. I said, okay. So combined in 2 days, this is how many shots you've taken. You going to be any good if you shoot 25 balls in 2 days? And he said, probably not. I said, so you got to find time on your own to come in the gym and shoot balls. I can't make you do it. I'm not going to have anyone here monitoring whether you do it or not. But as somebody that takes pride in being a good basketball player, you have to come in the gym and shoot balls. You don't have to run sprints on your own, but you do have to shoot balls on your own because, we don't have enough time with what we're allotted to monitor these things year-round, especially in season.
In regards to Auburn, a bunch of freshmen, obviously, I think their top 4 scorers now are all either freshmen or redshirt freshmen. What do you see from them? Specifically, a couple of kids who've come in as the first 5 stars that that program's ever had.
Offensively, they have a lot of firepower. You got to remember that they've won 13, 14, whatever it is, without their starting center in the lineup until the middle of December. And he's a load. Wiley's going to be he's already a real good player. As he continues to understand how they play, he's only going to get better. But it's got a fun team. I'm not too excited about having to play against those guys for the next 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it is. It's they're extremely talented. I'm happy we play here and not there. They've created an unbelievable home court environment at Auburn. That arena's just jam packed, and they've got real good players right now.
Frank, you mentioned the bigs against Kentucky having problems staying on the court due to fouls. Specifically with Chris and how athletic he is, how tough is it to try to get him to kind of calm down on the athleticism and play the fundamentals so he won't get those fouls?
Yeah, his fouls have nothing. His fouls aren't athletic fouls. His fouls are just bad fouls, just bad. If he was trying to go block shots and he get called for fouls, what am I going to do, get mad? But his fouls are like, guy already has the ball, and he runs over there and jumps on the guy's back. Or, it's reaching in, just senseless fouls. Takes the ball on his third foul early in the second half, and he gets doubled in the low post. And he just puts his head down and runs the guy over. Right? You can't do that. That's not very. His fouls are just straight decision-making process. He's got to learn when to do things and not do things, and he's too valuable a player for our basketball team. He does us no good when he's sitting on the bench next to us. But he's got to learn. He's got to learn, and You know, I'm not sitting here blaming him. He's played ball 4 years. There's certain things that he still hasn't figured out in the game of basketball. And, you know, if he was still a reserve, they wouldn't be as glaring. But he needs to be a frontline guy. And as a frontline guy, he's learning under fire.
Coach, using the example of Felder the other night, he's a freshman that gets his first career start in a hostile environment like Kentucky. Sindarius was talking about it before you came up, saying how it's important for guys like himself and the upperclassmen to keep him level-headed, be able to let him, show him the ropes. How do you manage a freshman like that, make sure that you don't lose his confidence early on, especially after a game the other night might not have been that great or anything that he was happy with, but knowing that he's going to be a big factor moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can do to prepare somebody to find out that they're going to start, their first career start's going to be in front of 25,000 against a top 3 basketball team, whatever, 20 hours before the game starts, and even that shoot around that day, there's still hope that maybe PJ be okay to play. And so there's nothing we could have done to help prepare him any better. So once you throw him out there, as a coach, you're kind of like trying to see what he's about. Let me see what this kid's about. Throw him out there. Is he going to kind of melt in the moment, or is he going to kind of, whether he does good or bad, stand up and say, I got to deal with this? And that's what he did. Early in the game, he was so nervous that he kind of froze on a couple things, and it is what it is. But as the game progressed, he played better and better and better. And then by the second half, he was very aggressive with his decision making. He missed shots. That doesn't. We all gauge how people play based on whether they make or miss shots. I like players that make shots. Don't get me wrong, but that doesn't mean they played bad. And I like what I saw from him coming off that game. I really do. I saw him and Hassani. I saw 2 young kids that are fearless of the stage, fearless of the moment. And moving forward, I get excited about that.
Tomorrow's your coaches versus cancers game, the suits and sneakers. Your shoe game's been on point this season. We've seen much coverage of that on Twitter and social media. Do you have something special planned for your footwork tomorrow?
My wife won't be happy. I'll say that. I don't even know what sneakers we're wearing yet. I'm sure those will be given to me here tonight, sometime after practice. It's a powerful thing for us coaches. Coaches versus cancers is real powerful. Something that all of us embrace, and being able to do a little something to just bring attention. And we try to bring attention to cancer and the importance of us continuing to fight that battle. We're all us college basketball coaches are very active, not just in writing checks, but in trying to bring attention to that matter. It's something that's very dear to us as a fraternity, that we do our part. To continue to move forward, to overcome like I always say, Derek, we've overcome every other disease that's ever come across. That's one thing that we've yet to be able to conquer, and we've been fighting it for a while. We're in a much better place now, but we still haven't found that end result on how to deal with that one. And hopefully that's something that as we continue, all of us doing our part, we can get it to where one day we know how to control that disease.
Coach, you mentioned that Hassani was sick, missing the Florida game, and also still being run down, that it was spreading around the locker room. How's the team feeling? And injuries are one thing, but what's it like to deal with illness then to change up a game plan?
Yeah, it's KG sprained his ankle at practice the day before the Kentucky game. We had 5 or 6 guys with the same thing I got, a head cold. You got Hassani, who missed basically a whole week with the flu. You got PJ with his back. I could have given you 100 reasons as to why losing at Kentucky, it's okay. No, it wasn't okay. We didn't get it done. Guys, I think feel better today than we did 3-4 days ago. It's there's a flu bug going around campus right now. We've had 12 or 14 athletes with the flu so far in the last couple of weeks, and we have to. It's part of the deal. You're gonna get handed those. The season's long, and if it was only a week long, if we were healthy, we got lucky. If we got hurt, then we're in trouble. It's long, so you just got to deal with those difficult days and figure out a way to make it work. I said something. I can't. What was the game last week? Was it Ole Miss? I said we finally got a full roster. I think it was Ole Miss when I said that. Well, that didn't last long, and so we're in a better place today than we were Thursday after the Florida game. Much better place.
Going back to PJ and his back, is this something that has bothered him before? And with your experience with this back spasm thing, is it something that can come up just any time with him since he's now had an episode with it?
No, Phil, obviously, I'm not a doctor, but I have been in the conversations as to what's there. There's no structural issues. There's not a disc problem. It's none of that. He just aggravated something in his back, which I have done. So I've learned, I know what happens to me now. It's called the trigger point. And it's when you activate your trigger point, all it is, it's a muscular thing, and your back spasms. And that's what he did. And it's not something that's career. It's not something that just now becomes a recurring issue. He's never had an issue with his back before. This is a first for him. I think that had a lot to do with it too. Back spasms are miserable, and I think he kind of freaked out a little bit because it's something different. But he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine.
Frank, Phil took most of my question, but has PJ been able to do any basketball-related stuff, or has it been just treatment?
Yeah, we want that to quiet down for that game tomorrow night. So today's going to be the first time. And by being on an airplane and in a hotel room and all that, we weren't trying to rush him back yesterday by any way, shape, or form. He's been just basically with Mark Roger, our trainer, getting treated. I know our team chiropractor dealt with him just to get him to relax. And that's the biggest problem with spasms is relaxing. But you're in such discomfort that you end up kind of in a crooked place, and it's just getting him to relax so he can straighten out. Now he's walking around like a normal human being again, So the target is still 6:30 p.m. tomorrow.
Anything else for Frank? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.